Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. I'm your host, Geoffrey Morrissey. Today we are actually not backstage. We are at the door of the Great Scott. I'm joined by Esmé Patterson. And Esme, right now you're sewing shirts, correct?
That's true, yes.
And how long has sewing been a passion of yours, trying to get some of this stuff done?
I've always loved sewing. My mother taught me to sew, and I have always been broke also, and it's a cheap way to make t-shirts, guys.
It's a cheap way and it's a cool way. We were saying this before, but I would love to have a handmade t-shirt than just one of the traditional ones. So
Cool.
It's definitely a cool touch.
Well, sometimes people will ask me to sign them, and I'm like, well, I already did. Basically, I'm writing for all of our radio listeners who can't see what I'm doing.
Exactly.
I'm writing my name with a ribbon with a sewing machine on a t-shirt. So I'm basically signing the shirt already, and I was like, well, I already signed it. You want me to sign it again?
2 for 1. You're able to, I guess, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So the first time that I encountered your music was from one of your lovely collaborations, not the Shaky Graves one that everyone, I feel, always references, but Silent Key with Frank Turner.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Which was one of my favorite songs, and especially your verse in it. So tell me a little bit about how that whole thing came about and how you were able to collaborate with him.
Well, that's cool. Well, that was a kind of a really different experience from the collaboration with Shaky Graves, because with Shaky Graves I co-wrote the song and I'm singing the melody of the song, and with Frank, he had already written the song and just wanted an American girl specifically to sing the part. I heard rumors that the label wanted Taylor Swift to do it, and he asked me to do it instead, which I'm kind of confused by, because I think Taylor Swift is awesome, but I'm really glad he asked me to do it. But I was like, dude, really? Taylor Swift is great. All right, I mean, I'll sing it, but that's cool.
I love Taylor.
Frank's wonderful. I really like him, and he's been really sweet and supportive of my music, too. It's pretty awesome.
I think that's the perfect way to describe him, sweet and supportive. He was the first guest who ever gave me the time on this show about 4 years ago. So
that's great.
He has a special place in our history, but I could never imagine Taylor Swift singing that song.
Right?
I hear it in your voice, and it's just beautiful, so if people haven't
thank you.
listened to that yet, they definitely should. But you have an amazing record of your own, a couple, but the one that's out now, it's called We Were Wild. And I read that this was one of the toughest records for you to make, but also, in your opinion, your best of your solo career so far. And I'm sure that there's a certain correlation there, but how was this the toughest record to make for you?
I hope that I'm always feeling like what I'm making now is my best work. Otherwise, what the heck am I doing? Wasting everyone's time. But I had a hard time making that because I started making it with a drummer who was my boyfriend at the time, and he kind of took charge of the record, and it got messy, so I had to make it over again, and then I had to make it over a third time. So I had to kind of take a few tries at it, which sometimes is good because you never want to rush making a record. You want to do it right and make sure you get it, but that one took a few tries.
So the old adage, third time's the charm, is what led us to this record.
That's true, and I also started, on the third time through, started working with an amazing producer who is my dear friend now as well, named Adam Thompson out of Portland, Oregon, and he really kind of helped me get the music to the place that we were hoping to get it to at that point in time, and I'm proud of that record. I felt mixed feelings about it at the time, I'll be honest, but I look back and I really do like it, and I'm proud of it, and I hope other people like it too. Who knows?
I was just going to say it's a record to be proud of. It was one of my favorites, 2016. But what were the mixed feelings for you at the time, and how have you sort of overcome them?
Well, I think that we all feel mixed feelings all the time, and I think it's important to sit with dissonance sometimes, and a lot of people are uncomfortable with having two opposite feelings at the same time, or very complicated feelings that you can't even begin to describe and all of that. And I think it's important to just kind of sometimes sit with the discomfort and just allow it to be there, and then take a deep breath and keep doing your work.
Touche. That's a good way to put it. And then I know that there were some, I guess, early concerns about how this record was going to translate live. So have you been happy about how you've been able to sort of make this into the live show and recreate some of the original sounds on the record?
That's been actually one of the most exciting and terrifying aspects of this new album, was that I, in the recording, experimented with a lot of new sounds, processing audio in a way that I never had before, using guitar pedals on my guitar and on my voice, and I wasn't able to recreate the sounds on the album without learning how to use guitar pedals. So on my first tour last year, I had to learn how to start using guitar pedals to create the sounds that you hear on the album, which was really fun for me, but also kind of an insane project to try to jump into. And I have had a lot of fun learning that, and a year and a half later feel pretty comfortable with guitar pedals and really excited about the whole world that it's opened up. And I know, obviously, always musicians are excited about the new stuff, so I can't wait for everyone to hear the next record. I'm like, that record was cool, guys, but this next one's gonna be really way cooler.
Filled with guitar pedals?
Yes.
There we go. We have a lot to look forward to, that's for sure.
Oh, yes. All sorts of stuff.
And one of my, I have a couple favorite songs in the record, and we'll go through them. One of them is Find It, and especially the refrain in that. So I have to ask, what did you find when you were making this record that you discovered that you needed? Was there one sort of thing, takeaway from this, from the process, or either from the final product?
Well, that song's really not so much about a specific thing that you're trying to find, but just more of a way of looking at the world, where you go after what you want rather than expecting it to come to you and be handed to you. And that's just always how I've lived my life, that I've never had anything handed to me and expected anything to be, landing in my lap or anything. And I just have always felt strongly that if there's anything you truly want, you have to go and chase it down and look across the ends of the earth for it and never stop until you find it. And it's like, a lot of people, I don't know, I wrote it at the time because a friend of mine, I felt like he was kind of not opening his eyes to the possibilities around him, and was just kind of generally unhappy with some malaise, and it's just like, man, if you're unhappy, like, go out and find what you need, And of course, about, 6 months after I wrote that song, I realized that I had been kind of unhappy in the band that I was in at the time, and it was a subliminal message to myself, and it's always hardest to take our own advice, but the song's more about the perspective of kind of going after the things that you want rather than what it is specifically that you find. Does that make sense?
Oh, of course it does. Of course it does.
That's what I'm trying to say by that.
And if there's one industry that's going to teach you that nothing is handed to you, it's the music industry.
Yep.
That's for sure.
Especially as a woman, you have to fucking fight as hard as you possibly can to believe in yourself.
Which, and it was crazy because I had a similar conversation with Tegan and Sarah a couple of years ago, and now with the con coming out for the 10-year anniversary.
It's amazing.
If you ever go back and read the Pitchfork review of that, I can't even repeat the way that it starts, but it's just sort of, it never ceases to amaze me. And I give you a ton of credit just navigating this industry, because it can really suck sometimes.
Thank you. Well, if it doesn't kill you,
it makes you stronger.
I don't know. You're not dead yet. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I don't know. It's also, my cousin came to a show on this tour. He's a chef, and we were talking about music, and he was like, do you love it? Do you love it? And I was like, well, it's hard.
Yeah.
But there are moments of pure transcendence. And he was like, yeah, I don't get that in my job. And I was like, okay, that's a good reminder for me to, like, maybe not complain sometimes. It's like, I get to have moments of transcendence.
Exactly.
And that's actually the point. And that's what everybody's working on. achieving together, which is fucking awesome. So it's difficult. Yeah, it takes people who are comfortable with being very uncomfortable a lot of the time. But it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
Well, that's what we like to hear. That's what we like to hear
Yeah.
for sure. And then it's kind of a natural segue to your song No River, where, again, the refrain in that is just the line, I'm human, which just is shockingly simple yet shockingly beautiful at the same time. So for you, what does it mean to be human?
It's to know that you are alive. It's to have the knowledge of being alive. And try to make some meaning of it. And I don't know if I haven't seen examples of any other animals trying to make meaning out of life, besides elephants bury their dead, I guess. And I'm sure there are other things, but I thought a core tenet of being human is to be aware of your existence and to try to make meaning from it. And that's something that we all do. And the song's really more about the ways that we're the same than the ways that we're different, and hoping we can try to sink into those spaces in the collective consciousness more often.
No, of course. And then again, We Were Wild, amazing record. I do want to talk a little bit about, because I just sort of discovered this with the TED Talk a couple weeks ago. I might have been one of the few people in the world who did not realize that Woman to Woman was a concept album and the concept behind it.
That's awesome.
And it's absolutely brilliant. So if you can explain to our listeners the concept a little bit, and I'm interested to know how you sort of came to make that record, if that makes sense. How you got the idea, because it turned into TED Talks and an amazing album.
The idea of the concept album is all the songs are responses to famous songs about women, in which the tenets of the project for me were that, because I had to narrow it down, it was becoming a huge project, where I would take a song that the title of it was just a woman's name, and I would become that character and write a song telling her side of the story, and kind of trying to open up the idea of perspective, and a lot of people responded to it as a feminist album, which it wasn't really. I just happened to be a woman, and that's the experience that I can speak to, and the fact that people call it feminist is, I guess, part of the whole problem.
Yeah.
Where, feminists really just want to be regarded equally. So it's not like, oh, this is a woman songwriter. It's like, no, she's just a songwriter. Like, here's this woman bartender. It's like, no, she's just a bartender. It's like, we just want to be seen as people. And I guess that record does achieve to make these objectified female characters three-dimensional with feelings and emotions in their own side of the story, but that's not the point necessarily. I was just trying to take a break from writing about my own problems, if I'm being honest, and just do a songwriting exercise, and also to explore these different feeling spaces of writing from the perspectives of characters whose lives, that I hope people could open a conversation about perspective and songwriting, and I don't have really anything definitive to say with my art ever. I just am trying to open a dialogue and get people to start asking questions. So I don't have like a point that I'm trying to say. It's a dialogue that I'm hoping to start and continue, as there have been many response albums before me and response songs in the history of music. There's quite a foundation built already.
True. And do you find that through doing this sort of writing exercise that it changed the way that you write about, I guess, people that aren't yourself, when you go back and you do sort of the autobiographical writing? did it sort of change the way that I guess you view songwriting about, I guess, others?
No, it didn't change my view of songwriting at all, but it did change the way that I listen to music. I wasn't really able to like stop doing a deep read on lyrics. And sometimes you're just like, okay, the lyrics aren't the focus in this. I wish I could just tune them out. But I can't.
True. This will be the last question that I have for you. Who are you listening to right now? Who has your ear?
I really love a band called Tenariwan, which is a band out of Mali, I believe, Africa. They're really great. Their guitar tone is amazing. The riffs for days. It's really incredible music that I've enjoyed the last couple of albums they've made. They're really great. It's good driving music.
Which comes in handy.
We do a lot of driving, so I like anything that I have a very long attention span.
Well, there we go. That's what we like to hear. Well, if you are not listening to Esmé Patterson, damn it, you should be. Go to Spotify and do that right now. Esmé, thank you so much for the time.
Hey, yeah, of course. Thank you.